Me.
No. We're not singing happy birthday. Nice try, though.
Me.
All right, everybody. There's one thing I forgot to mention on Wednesday when we did notes. It's this thing that has to do with Boolean, compound Boolean expressions. It's called short circuit evaluation. And I'm going to write it out. And you should too. Just trying to figure out why this isn't showing all the words. All right, so when the result of a logical expression, a Boolean with an and or an or, when the result of one of these expressions that uses and or can be determined by evaluating only the first part, then Java doesn't bother to even evaluate the second part. This is called short circuit evaluation. And I'll give you some very clear examples. But off the top of my head, I would say if you have an or situation and the first thing's true, then there's no need to check if the second thing is also true because you're already going to go ahead and do it, right? And on the flip side, if you're doing an and the first thing is false, you don't have to check the second thing because it's already not going to work. So it's just short circuits in electricity can be bad, but short circuit, what they're saying is they're like it's almost like a shortcut. You can think of it as a shortcut instead of having to. It just saves the computer some time. Like, hey, instead of checking both these things, since the first one told me what's going to happen, I'm going to just go ahead and do it. So I don't know if I asked you, is this anybody in here?
I think you asked us.
I did ask you. It's mine. It's my birthday. Yeah, I did email the sub. I have to wait to hear back from him.
It's not the stubs because I asked him if it was his.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He may have information.
Yeah, I bet he doesn't. Okay, can I switch it? Okay, so let's do an example. We got int a equals 0, int b equals 5, if b less than a, and a divided by b greater than 1. All right, so I wrote a little program. Now, when this runs, what do you think it's going to do?
Nothing. Or print sentence.
It's going to do something. It's going to print either first or second. So what's up? The reason this is short circuit evaluation is we're doing this if statement, and the first part of this if statement, it's a compound Boolean expression or a logical expression. If b is less than a, and then this other stuff. So we can look here. B is 5, a is 0. So b is not less than a, right? 5 is not less than 0. So it doesn't bother to evaluate the second part. So when we run this, we're going to get, it's going to print out second. I know you can't see that it did short circuit evaluation, but it did. By the way, I meant to do this way, b divided by a. So see this b divided by a thing? That would result in a divide by 0 error, right? If it actually ran? So let's change this to an or. You don't have to do it in your notes. But if I make this an or, we're going to crash. Arithmetic exception, divide by 0 error. Because see, with an or, b is not less than a. this is not doing short circuit evaluation at this point. B is not less than A. So then it says, okay, I got to test this one. And it does B divided by A, which is 5 divided by 0, and it crashes. So what's kind of cool about short circuit evaluation is sometimes you have something like a divided by, that could be divided by 0, and you could put the check over here that makes sure it only goes to the second one if the first one actually succeeds. But anyway, in this case, I took that little twist out, so it's checking if B is greater than A, and it's an and, so it doesn't even check this condition if the first thing's false. So I'll just note it with a comment. Because this is false and it's an and, it doesn't bother to even check the other thing. Okay, so I'm going to change the condition now. We're going to say A less than B, or B divided by A, B divided by A greater than 5. And so this would crash if it got to the second thing. But it's not going to get to the second thing, because when we run it, short circuit evaluation says, hey, A is less than B, and it's an OR condition, so I don't have to go to the second thing. It's just going to run. So if it's an OR and the first thing's true, it doesn't bother doing the second thing. It's just a waste of time. I think it's kind of cool. And there are some rare cases where it's kind of handy. Like, let's say you want to make sure you're not going to divide by 0. I mean, you could say if A is not equal to 0 and this other thing and this other thing, but you could also just figure out a way to do it short circuit wise so that it just doesn't even go to the divide by 0 one if it's not appropriate. Okay. That's short